In the journey of life, most of us learn the most important lessons far too late. Not because we are incapable of understanding them, but because life has a way of teaching slowly. It teaches through experience, through mistakes, through time. And sometimes, by the time we finally understand what really matters, decades have already passed. So let me ask you something. What if you didn't have to wait 50 years to learn those lessons? What if you could understand them now, while you still have the time, energy, and freedom to actually do something about it? That is what this conversation is about. These are not theories. These are patterns that show up again and again in real life, in careers, in relationships, in money, in personal growth. And if you really take them seriously, they can change the direction of your life in ways that most people don't experience until much later. Let's start with the first one, self-reliance. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, but also one of the most empowering. No one is coming to save you. Not your boss, not your friends, not the system, not luck. It is easy to believe that something or someone will eventually show up and change everything for you. A big opportunity, a powerful connection, a lucky break. But most of the time, that moment never comes. And even if it does, it only helps people who are already prepared. The reality is simple. Your life, your career, your financial situation, your health, your mindset, all of it is your responsibility. That might sound heavy, but it is actually freeing. Because the moment you accept that responsibility, you stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop hoping that things will magically improve, and you start acting. Think about how many people stay stuck because they are waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for more confidence. Waiting for someone to guide them. Waiting for things to feel easier. But life does not reward waiting. It rewards movement. Even small steps matter. When you take responsibility, you begin to see choices where you used to see obstacles. You realize that you may not control everything, but you always control your response. And that response, repeated over time, shapes your entire life. Now let's move to the second lesson, failure as a teacher. Most of us grow up being taught that failure is something to avoid. In school, mistakes are punished. In society, failure is often seen as weakness. So we learn to play it safe. We avoid risks. We stay within what feels comfortable. But in the real world, especially in business, growth does not come from playing it safe. It comes from trying, failing, learning, and trying again. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you can see. The difference is not that they avoided failure. The difference is that they learned from it. There is a concept called failing fast. It means you take action quickly, you test ideas, and if something does not work, you adjust without wasting too much time. Instead of spending years overthinking, you spend weeks experimenting. Instead of fearing mistakes, you use them as feedback. Because every failure carries information. It shows you what does not work. It shows you where you need to improve. It builds resilience. And perhaps most importantly, it removes the fear that holds most people back. When you stop seeing failure as something to avoid, you become more willing to take action. And action is what creates opportunities. Now here is something important. Failing does not mean being careless. It means being willing to learn. It means moving forward with awareness, and it means understanding that progress is rarely perfect. Now let's talk about something deeper. Happiness. Most people spend a large part of their life chasing it. They believe it is something they will find once certain conditions are met. Once I make enough money, once I get the right job, once I achieve a certain status, once my life looks a certain way. But here is what many people realize too late. Happiness is not something you find outside. It is something you create inside. This does not mean external things do not matter. Of course they do. Comfort, stability, meaningful work, all of these are important. But they do not guarantee happiness. You can have everything on paper and still feel empty. Because happiness is not just about circumstances. It is about how you experience those circumstances. It is about your mindset, your perspective, your ability to appreciate what you have while still working toward what you want. When happiness depends entirely on external outcomes, it becomes fragile. It rises and falls with every success and failure. But when it comes from within, it becomes more stable. You still have goals. You still work hard. But your emotional state is not constantly controlled by what is happening around you. This also affects your decisions. When you are constantly chasing happiness through status or possessions, you are more likely to make impulsive choices, spending to impress, working in ways that drain you, comparing yourself to others. But when you develop internal stability, your decisions become more grounded, more thoughtful, more aligned with what actually matters to you. And over time, that leads to a better life, not just emotionally, but practically. Now let's move to the next lesson, the value of time. This is one of the most underestimated truths. People understand that time is important, but they do not treat it that way. They treat money as something valuable. They protect it. They try to grow it. But they spend time without thinking. Here is the reality. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. Once a day is gone, it is gone. And the way you spend your time determines the direction of your life, your habits, your skills, your relationships, your opportunities. All of them are built through how you use your hours. Think about your daily routine. Not in a judgmental way, just honestly. Where does your time go? How much of it is intentional? How much of it is just reacting to whatever comes your way? It is easy to lose time in small ways. Scrolling, watching, delaying things you know you should do. And individually, these moments do not seem significant. But over months and years, they add up. And they shape your future. This is why people say your 20s and 30s are the most expensive years of your life. Not because of money, but because of how time is used. If those years are spent building skills, discipline, and direction, they create long-term advantages. If they are spent without intention, they create long-term consequences. This does not mean you should never relax. Rest is important. Enjoyment is important. But there is a difference between intentional rest and unconscious distraction. One restores you, the other drains you, and learning that difference can change everything. Now, as we continue, we are going to explore how to actually apply these ideas in real life. Because understanding something is one thing, living it is something else. Personal adaptation. This is one of the most overlooked reasons why people stay stuck. Many people spend years wishing their situation would change. They want better opportunities, better conditions, better circumstances. And while some external factors do matter, there is a truth that most people resist. The world is not going to adjust itself to fit your expectations. Markets change, industries evolve, technology moves forward, people move on. And if you stay the same while everything around you is changing, you fall behind. It is not personal, it is just reality. So the real question becomes this: are you willing to change? Adaptation does not mean losing yourself. It means growing. It means learning new skills, updating your mindset, and staying open to new ways of thinking. Think about how quickly things have changed in the last 10 years. The way we work, communicate, learn, even how we build businesses. People who adapted early found opportunities. People who resisted change often felt left behind. And this is not just about technology or careers. It applies to your personal life too. Your habits, your routines, your communication style, your emotional responses. If something is not working, holding on to it will not fix it. You have to be willing to adjust. This is where humility comes in. The ability to say, maybe I need to improve. Maybe I need to learn something new. Maybe the way I have been doing things is not the best way. That mindset alone can create massive growth over time. Now let's move to the final lesson, taking control. This is where everything comes together. Because you can understand all the principles in the world, but if you do not take control of your actions, nothing changes. Taking control does not mean controlling everything around you. That is impossible. It means taking ownership of your direction, your decisions, your habits, your responses. Most people live in a reactive mode. They respond to whatever happens during the day. Emails, messages, problems, distractions. And by the end of the day, they feel busy but not productive. They feel tired but not fulfilled. Because they were not in control. They were just reacting. Taking control means being intentional. It means deciding what matters before the day begins. It means setting direction instead of drifting. Even in small ways. Choosing what you focus on. Choosing how you spend your time. Choosing how you respond to challenges. This does not require perfection. It requires awareness and consistency. And over time, those small choices create momentum. Now let's connect everything. Self-reliance means you stop waiting and start taking responsibility. Failure as a teacher means you take action and learn instead of avoiding mistakes. Happiness as an internal state means you build emotional stability instead of chasing external validation. The value of time means you treat your hours with intention. Adaptation means you stay flexible and open to growth. And taking control means you direct your life instead of reacting to it. These are simple ideas, but they are not easy because they require honesty, discipline, patience, and a willingness to change. Now here is something important to understand. You do not need to master all of this at once. In fact, trying to do everything at once usually leads to frustration. Instead, focus on one area. Maybe you start with time, becoming more aware of how you spend your day. Or maybe you start with failure, taking one action you have been avoiding. Or maybe you start with control, planning your day instead of reacting to it. Small changes are powerful when they are consistent, and consistency builds confidence. Now imagine where you could be in 1 year if you applied even half of these lessons. More focused, more disciplined, more emotionally stable, more in control of your direction. And now imagine 5 years. The difference becomes even bigger because these lessons compound over time, just like habits, just like decisions. This is why people often say success is not about one big moment. It is about small actions repeated over a long period. Now before we close, let's bring this back to you. Not as a general idea, but as something personal. Where are you right now? Not where you wish you were, not where you think you should be. But honestly, are you waiting for something to change? Are you avoiding risks because of fear of failure? Are you tying your happiness to external outcomes? Are you spending your time intentionally? Are you adapting to change or resisting it? Are you in control of your direction? You do not need perfect answers, but asking these questions creates awareness, and awareness is the starting point of change. Now here is the final thought I want to leave you with. Your life will not change all at once, but it will change slowly and steadily based on what you do every day. So instead of waiting for a breakthrough, focus on building better habits, better decisions, better patterns. Because over time, those patterns become your reality. And that is how real transformation happens. Now, if you are serious about applying these principles, especially in business, leadership, or financial growth, you do not have to do it alone. Having the right guidance can save you years of trial and error. If you are looking to build a world-class business, or you need professional insight into strategy, planning, or growth, FinPower Leadership International can help you take that next step. From project profiles to feasibility studies to structured marketing plans, the goal is simple: to give you clarity, direction, and a practical roadmap forward. Because success should not be left to chance. It should be built with intention, and it starts with a decision. The decision to take control of your life, starting today.